আগামী ২ জুন অন্টারিও প্রভিন্সিয়াল পার্লামেন্টের নির্বাচন। সে নির্বাচনকে নিয়ে সারা প্রভিন্সে এক ধরনের হইচই চলছে। মানুষ ভোট দেবে, কাকে দেবে সেই সব নিয়ে কথাবার্তা হচ্ছে। বলতে গেলে পুরো প্রভিন্সে এখন ভোটের হাওয়া বইতে শুরু করেছে। অন্টারিয়ানদের জন্যে, কেবল বাংলাদেশী নয়, অন্টারিয়ানদের জন্য এবারে নির্বাচনটি নানা কারণে গুরুত্বপূর্ণ। বাংলাদেশীদের জন্য গুরুত্বপূর্ণ অন্য কারণে। অন্টারিওতে বসবাসরত বাংলাদেশি অরিজিনের ৩ জন প্রার্থী এবার প্রভিন্সিয়াল নির্বাচনে প্রতিদ্বন্দ্বিতা করছেন। আমরা জানি যে ২০১৮ সালের নির্বাচনে ডলি বেগম এনডিপির নমিনেশন নিয়ে নির্বাচনে প্রতিদ্বন্দ্বিতা করেছিলেন এবং তিনি বিজয়ী হয়েছেন সেবার। ডলি বেগম কানাডায় বাংলাদেশিদের জন্য একটা রেকর্ড স্থাপন করেছেন, কারণ ডলি বেগম হচ্ছেন প্রথম বাংলাদেশি অরিজিন ইলেক্টেড পাবলিক রিপ্রেজেন্টেটিভ ইন কানাডা। এবছর সেই রেসে আমরা আরো দুজনকে পেয়েছি। ফারহিন আলিম, তিনি ইটুবিকো লেকশোর রাইডিং থেকে এনডিপির মনোনয়ন পেয়েছেন, তিনি সেই নির্বাচনে প্রতিদ্বন্দ্বিতা করছেন। কানিজ মৌলি, তিনি প্রতিদ্বন্দ্বিতা করছেন বার্লিংটন থেকে, তিনি লিবারেল পার্টির প্রার্থী হিসাবে। ওকভিল নর্থ এবং বার্লিংটন তার রাইডিং। আমরা আসলে আমাদের এই আলোচনায় ৩ জন প্রার্থীর সঙ্গেই কথা বলছি পর্যায়ক্রমে। আজকে আমার আমন্ত্রণে আমাদের সঙ্গে সংযুক্ত হয়েছেন ফারহিন আলিম, তিনি ইটুবিকো লেকশোর রাইডিং থেকে এনডিপির প্রার্থী হিসাবে প্রতিদ্বন্দ্বিতা করছেন। ফারহিন আলিম, ওয়েলকাম and thank you so much for giving me time and for giving your consent to share your thoughts with the Bangladeshi community in Ontario. Thank you so much.
ধন্যবাদ।
ওয়াও, খুবই চমৎকার করে ফারহিন ধন্যবাদ বললো। আমি দর্শক একটু বলে রাখি যে ফারহিনের বাবা যখন কানাডায় আসেন ইমিগ্রেশন নিয়ে, তার ১ বছর পরে সম্ভবত ফারহিনের জন্ম হয়েছে। আমরা সেই কথাগুলো ফারহিনের কাছ থেকে শুনবো। ফলে ফারহিনের জন্ম এবং বড় হওয়া, ফারহিন একজন স্কুল শিক্ষক এবং এখন তো পলিটিশিয়ান। ফারহিনের বেড়ে ওঠা পুরোটাই হচ্ছে কানাডায়। ফলে ফারহিন ঠিক আমাদের মতো করে চমৎকার করে বাংলা বলবে আমি সেটা আশা করিও না, বাট ফিল ফ্রি ফারহিন, আপনি যেভাবে ভালো মনে করেন, আপনি the way you feel free, you speak in English, you speak in Bengali, you speak in hybrid way, whatever you like, the way you. But the thing is, we want our community people to know you. We want that our people know that our girls are fighting in the mainstream politics, our girls are in the Canadian politics. So that is my mission, that is my willingness to let people know, to let other people to talk about our girls, our boys who are in the mainstream politics. And obviously, Farhin, we have so many things to ask you, we have so many things to know from you, but first of all, I want to know what actually you tell about yourself when you meet your voters or when you go for a campaign. What you tell them about yourselves? Tell us about yourself.
Okay, so I usually tell voters my story of why I'm running. So I'm a high school teacher, and it has been really, really challenging to be a teacher under this current government. There's been a lot of underfunding in public education, and we know that our younger generation, they deserve better than overworked teachers that can't respond to their needs. So I usually tell voters of my experience as a teacher and how that will help me as a politician, because as a teacher, I'm interacting with diverse students from all sorts of backgrounds and getting to know them and getting to know their needs and helping them with that. And I'm hoping to do the same as a politician.
Oh, so we know that your parents came from Bangladesh actually before you were born.
Mm-hmm.
Do you have any memory about Bangladesh?
Okay.
Do you have any particular things to tell about Bangladesh?
Ooh, question about Bangladesh, though. Ami Banglate respond korbo. I have so many memories. Amar nana ar dada Dhakai thakto. Amar nanar bari Rampurate ar amar dadar bari Karan Bazare. কোন সময় আমি ইউনিভার্সিটি ছিলাম, আমি একটা ইন্টার্নশিপ করছি এক সামার ব্র্যাকের সাথে, আর আমি
ব্র্যাক ইউনিভার্সিটিতে।
not BRAC University, BRAC organization.
ব্র্যাক
হ্যাঁ,
অর্গানাইজেশনের সঙ্গে
BRAC organizationের সাথে। আর আমি একটু ট্রাভেল করছি রংপুর আর দিনাজপুরে। তো আমি অনেক বাংলাদেশ দেখছি আর অনেক ভালো মেমোরি।
ওয়াও! কাওরান বাজার কিন্তু আমি বাংলাদেশের যে সংবাদপত্রে যে পত্রিকাটিতে কাজ করতাম, চাকরি করতাম, I was journalist in back home. Used to work for a national daily newspaper. That office was in কাওরান বাজার, প্রথম আলো।
Nice. By Boshundara Mall.
Oh, বসুন্ধরা মল। That
Yeah.
actually, but that is a now অনেক বড় এবং খুবই renowned একটা মল সেটি এখন। So what else you have to tell about Bangladesh?
Ooh, what else do I have to tell about Bangladesh? I mean, it's a bit of a culture shock coming from Canada to go to Bangladesh, especially because আমি বেশি স্পষ্ট করে বাংলা বলতে পারি না, so
You can
whenever
speak in English as well, no problem.
whenever I would go out in Bangladesh, my parents would say, "Oh no, don't speak in Bangla in front of the people at the stores. They're gonna know that you're foreign." So it has been a funny experience when I visit Bangladesh, because I feel like I can't do as many things there as a regular local can. But I really love my cousins that are in Bangladesh and my family there. So whenever I go there, it's always a special treat to be with them, because I am very, I mean, we know Bengali people are very hospitable or very welcoming and warm. So whenever I go there, everybody treats me extra special. So it's very nice when I go visit.
What particular thing do you remember like that attract you or you loved so much in Bangladesh when you visited Bangladesh?
Ooh, interesting. Well, definitely the people. So my family, I really love them in Bangladesh. And also my experience with BRAC was really exciting because like I got to see a different side than just Dhaka. Dhaka is great. Dhaka's fun. But so many other sides to Bangladesh are also so nice to see. Just like the agriculture, the artistry that goes on. My Nanu was an artist. She does tapestries. I'm trying to think of the word in Bangla, but anyway, she does tapestries. So like I have a lot of appreciation for Bangla art. And when I was doing that internship with BRAC, I also got to meet a lot of people that did craft work for Arong and stuff like that. So I really love Bengali art, Bengali people.
Oh, if I ask you like that, since you were born and brought up here in Toronto, Etobicoke, obviously you have interaction with the Bangladeshi community in Toronto, Ontario. How do you evaluate them? What is your experience about Bangladeshi people in Toronto?
Ooh, Bangladeshi people in Toronto. Well, I find that Bengali community is very diverse, but very similar to how I interpret them in Bangladesh, like very warm and welcoming, like the way that even you described like the Bengali candidates as the daughters. Like even my parents, they've never met Dolly Begum, but they consider her family because she's another Bengali. So I just find that the Bengali community is very diverse, very proud of its own, very supportive of its own, and very well connected as well. I find that like my parents talk about Dolly Begum and they say, "Oh yes, we know Dolly Begum. This." And like it's everybody knows each other, that kind of thing. So I
Yes,
definitely
so like that, all entire community actually they feel like they are the member of family.
Exactly. I love that. Even my just very hard supporter. Even I have an uncle that lives in this riding and he usually supports Liberal, but he said, "Oh no, my niece is running for NDP. I'm going to put an NDP sign up. I'm 100% voting NDP." So it's really sweet to see how
Yes, like
supportive.
even like in our riding, I am actually in Dolly Begum's riding. I have so many friends, those who are active liberal for years. They were working for liberal, they were supporters for liberal, but for last few years, all they become they are not like the NDP, but they are supporter of Dolly Begum.
Dolly Begum, exactly.
Because Dolly Begum is Bengali girl, she is from Bangladeshi community. So as like Farhin is also from Bangladeshi community, Farhin is like our girl. Farhin is like our people. Now, Farhin, what inspired you to join the politics? Why did you decide to join politics? You told me that you are a high school teacher, right?
Mhm.
So you are a school teacher. You were teaching student in the school, but why you decided to join politics?
Ooh, so this is an interesting one. I think I found that it was really hard to see our government go on the news and make decisions and say things that were very disconnected from my experience on the front lines. Like there was a point in time last year when a lot of things were shut down and people thought we were in a lockdown, but schools were wide open. And I was teaching in Brampton, actually, in one of the postal codes that the Toronto Star said was like a COVID hotspot. Um, and I had students that got COVID, and this was when, I mean, nowadays it seems like everybody gets it, but back then it was like this was before vaccines were prominent. And it was really worrying because I care about my students. I want to be there for them. I want to do well for them. But at a certain point, there's only so much that a teacher can do. And it was really hard to see it because like my students, they were at home, but they got COVID because their parents were off working in factories and didn't have paid sick days. So if they were sick, they would still go to work, or they would go to work and catch COVID from others that also couldn't stay at home because their choices were just go to work or not have enough money to survive. So um, it was really hard for me to see my current MPP, who's a conservative, vote against paid sick days and do policies like that, which are harming the community. And as I mentioned, there's only so much a teacher can do. So I was hoping to change things, and that's why I'm here right now.
So to bring change in the community, to bring change in the life of the community people, you decided to join politics.
Yeah.
Now my question is, why did you choose? Why did you choose to join NDP, not liberal, not conservative, not other political parties? Why NDP?
Ooh, interesting. I mean, I feel like the NDP is the most vocal supporter of things that I support, like public education, public healthcare, like programs that are funding programs for people in general. So I really appreciate that about the NDP. I don't necessarily, like I mentioned, that I have been a teacher under the conservative government when they've made massive cuts to education. I don't trust the conservative government. When Doug Ford, even before the pandemic, he said, we're going to make big cuts to education, but not a single teacher will lose their job. Like, that was a lie. I lost my job. So it was really hard seeing the conservative government lie to people. And then even before then, I was also a teacher under the Liberals, and the Liberals have similarly made cuts to education, tried to stop teachers' unions from having the right to bargain with Bill 150. They've also had like 15 years since the conservative government to make changes, and they haven't been always delivering on that. So I really think that the NDP has so much potential to make big changes for Ontario and actually work for people.
Wow. So why do you think people should support NDP?
Ooh. So I think in this election, more than anything, the NDP is stronger than ever right now, stronger than they've been in 30 years right now. There's already so many sitting NDP MPPs that the NDP only needs to flip 10 seats to form government, whereas the Liberals would need to flip over 50 seats. I think that the NDP is running a platform that's really working for Ontarians in terms of making life more affordable, funding public institutions like public education, public healthcare, so that they can be good for everyone. And also, like the team of candidates that's running under NDP, I'm very, very proud of them. Like a lot of them are frontline workers, teachers, nurses, things like that. So I am very proud of the team that exists right now. And I think that this is the year for an NDP government.
Okay, so you think this is a year for NDP government?
Mhm.
Okay, well, obviously people will consider your thoughts, and obviously people will think whether they should come forward to support NDP or not, depending on how you go to people, how you explain your thoughts and your plan and programs. Now, Farhin, one question. As a member of an immigrant family, I'm also an immigrant. I immigrated to Canada, I think, 2004. Yeah, at the end of 2003 in December. You know the struggle of the immigrant family who come to this country for better life. Sorry. Do you think the society, Canadian society, politics of this country has a welcoming attitude for the immigrants?
This is interesting. I think there are welcoming spaces, but there's also a lot of spaces that aren't necessarily welcoming. So, like, we know that racism exists in this society as it exists in so many others. But I'm really grateful for the spaces that the NDP has that are very welcoming towards immigrants. And even when I'm knocking on doors, I'll meet a lot of newcomer immigrants that will say, like, oh, we're actually not citizens, we can't vote, we're only permanent residents, but we really do want to help your campaign. Like, they're very eager to volunteer and stuff like that. So I think that there is still more potential to be more inclusive of immigrants, because just because somebody that's a newcomer can't vote doesn't mean that they don't have a voice or a perspective that's important in our society. So I really do value talking to permanent residents and newcomers, even if they're not voters, just to learn more about their experiences. And yeah, like, I think there is a lot of potential for them to be involved. There's so much more you can do than voting.
Okay. And another thing is, you are from an immigrant family, but you were born and brought up here. How much do you think you feel the suffering, the struggles of the immigrant, like the immigrant families in the community, or like in your community and other community?
Interesting. Yeah, it is a bit of a challenge because I was born here, but I find that a lot of the children of immigrants or first generation immigrants that come here would definitely be able to relate to me in terms of just seeing different cultures at home and at school and outside and stuff like that. But I mean, I know of my parents' experience as immigrants, how like, my dad was being paid minimum wage when he came here and was supporting a family of 5, and my mom was working in fast food. Even though she has a master's from University of Dhaka, she was working in fast food. That was her first job here because she just needed to supplement the income. So I've definitely seen the struggles of immigrant families from what my parents have gone through, and I know that they've made so many sacrifices for myself and my brother and sister so that we can be successful. So that sort of inspires me in the sense that I became a teacher because my parents drilled into my head, education is so important. You're so lucky to have this experience, like, in this Canadian school. And then it stuck with me. And now I'm a teacher because I want my students to also have a great positive experience so that they can be successful as well. And I teach a lot of immigrants as well because I'm an ESL teacher. So all of my students are newcomers.
Okay, so how would you like to help immigrant family?
So I think that a big way to help immigrant families is to connect with them in a way that's accessible. So, like, sharing information that is in their languages and helping them understand how the government works. So in my riding, like, if I were to be elected as an MPP, I would definitely do a lot of outreach so that I could get to know different people and also offer them language-based solutions. So I know that during COVID, a lot of organizations in the community, it wasn't the government who did this, it was just people and organizations that would help share information about vaccination outreach in Bangla or in Urdu or in Arabic or any other language. And it was really helpful for the immigrant community who would see these things in their own language and trust it and be able to relate to it. So it's definitely a big one in terms of communication.
Farin, do you have any special reason or commitment behind your decision to run for the public office?
Ooh, that's special reason or commitment. I mean, I think a lot of what I really want to do well by my parents, of course, but also by my students that I teach. Like, it's really hard to see my students struggling with big class sizes or unsafe schools with COVID conditions and things like that. So when I'm thinking about the commitments that I want to make in terms of politics, it is towards bettering life for my students, for my family, for everyone else in my community as well.
So if I am in your riding, if I am your voter, tell me why should I vote for you?
Ooh. So I am the only frontline worker that is a candidate in my riding. So I know what it's like to be on the front lines every day, being impacted by government decisions. And a lot of the decisions our government made have been very disconnected from what people have been experiencing. So I know what it's been like. I've been putting in the work in terms of reaching out to different organizations in our community. I've helped out our community in terms of doing outreach to community groups that started vaccination pop-ups. I've volunteered for a lot of different cleanups and tree planting initiatives in the community. I've helped tenants associations at the north end of my community to let them know more about their rights as tenants. So I've been doing the work. I have the experience. I am also highly educated. I have a master's degree in education. Even though I look very young, I have the experience, the education. I put in the work, and the NDP was only 4% behind in the last provincial election. So it was very, very, very close. And I think that Etobicoke Lakeshore, they want something different right now. And the NDP is the only option in terms of stopping forward, because we were so close last time. And as I mentioned earlier, the NDP only needs to flip 10 seats to form government.
And I saw like in your campaign literature, you always tell one thing: you want to stop Dartford. Why do you want to stop Dartford?
Oh my goodness. I don't think Doug Ford has been leading for the people. I think he has been leading for his donors, which are big developers or corporations, and it has left so many people behind. He has made massive cuts to education, to healthcare, to long-term care, to anything publicly funded. And that's not the way that I want society to look. I want society to be equitable, so that it doesn't matter if you're from a Bangladeshi family that just arrived in Canada or if you've lived in Canada for generations. You should have access to good education, no matter where you're from or how much money your family has. And you should have access to good healthcare, again, no matter where you're from or how much money your family has. So I really do support the NDP in terms of stopping what the current government has done and reversing a lot of the cuts that they've done and a lot of the really harmful policies that they've put forward.
Okay. Now, do you have anything to tell to Bangladeshi people in Canada or like the outside Canada?
Ooh. I hope that there are so many more Bangladeshi people in government, because Dolly Begum, as you know, like, I love her like she's family. My family loves her like she's family. She has also been such an inspiration to myself, and it really just warms my heart to see more Bangladeshi people being involved in politics, even if you're not running, just volunteering, donating, making sure that your voice is heard, because we are a very strong and proud community, as we talked about earlier, and there's so much potential for us to elect a government that serves us and really have our voices heard in society. So definitely, if I were to say anything to the Bengali community, it's to get involved, because we have so much power, especially in this upcoming election.
Oh, sure. And what you want to tell to your voters in your riding?
Ooh, to my voters in my riding. This is the chance for Etobicoke Lakeshore to have an NDP government, a government that will work for them. And I've talked to so many people in Etobicoke Lakeshore that have just been so frustrated with our current government not listening to them, not responding to them. And it's time for a change. I'm not a typical politician. I'm a high school teacher, but a lot of the skills that I use every day are the ones that we need in our government. We need a government that listens to people from a diverse cross section, a government that works with people to give them the supports they need to be successful, because that's what I do in schools every day. I support the well-being and success of my students, and I can just do that on a bigger scale in terms of my community as well.
অবশ্যই দর্শক, আমরা এতক্ষণ কথা বলছিলাম ফারহিন আলিমের সঙ্গে। ফারহিন আলিম বাংলাদেশি বংশোদ্ভূত নতুন প্রজন্মের প্রতিনিধি, নিউ রিপ্রেজেন্টেটিভ অফ নিউ জেনারেশন। ফারহিন আলিম ইটোবিকো লেকশোর নির্বাচনী এলাকা থেকে এনডিপির নমিনেশন নিয়ে আগামী 2 জুন যে অন্টারিও প্রভিন্সিয়াল নির্বাচন অনুষ্ঠিত হতে যাচ্ছে, সেই নির্বাচনে তিনি প্রার্থী। আমরা তার জন্য আমরা প্রাউড ফিল করি যে আমাদের বাংলাদেশি কমিউনিটির একজন মেয়ে মূলধারার রাজনীতিতে, মেইন স্ট্রিম পলিটিক্সে কম্পিট করছে, সেখানে পাবলিক অফিসের জন্য রান করছে। আমরা অবশ্যই উই ফিল প্রাউড অফ হার। আমরা তার জন্য শুভ কামনা জানাই। আমরা আশা করি ফারহিন আলিম নিশ্চয়ই নির্বাচনে একটি ভালো ফলাফল করবেন, এবং আমরা চাইবো যে ফারহিন আলিম প্রভিন্সিয়াল পার্লামেন্টে, সেখানে ডলি বেগম যেমন কথা বলছেন, ফারহিন আলিমও সেখানে থাকবেন, সেখানে তিনি কথা বলবেন। আমরা পরবর্তী পর্যায়ে আমাদের যে বাকি আরো 2 জন প্রার্থী আছেন তাদের সঙ্গে আমরা কথা বলবো, তাদের বক্তব্য আপনাদের সামনে তুলে ধরবো। আজ আমরা এই পর্যন্তই। ফারহিন আলিম, থ্যাংক ইউ সো মাচ ফর গিভিং মি টাইম। থ্যাংক ইউ সো মাচ ফর শেয়ারিং ইউর থটস উইথ দ্য বাংলাদেশি পিপল অ্যাজ এ হোল।
ধন্যবাদ।
ধন্যবাদ।